How did you get in this business? I mean, you got such a great voice.
Oh, thank you. It's just something I always wanted to do. That I did the Pirates AA games when I was 19, and then ended up doing the Pirates Major League games when I got the full-time job with Pittsburgh. So I started there, went to Las Vegas, then went to Colorado, and worked on the Colorado Rockies studio programs and did some of their games as a fill-in, and then the Pirates job opened full-time, and I was lucky to get it.
How does it work? Do you have to send audition tapes?
Yeah. I mean, you have to know where there's an opening. Somebody's got to tip you off usually, and you just kind of go through a process.
Right.
And I had been through the process before with other teams, and so that's how it works. I mean, they look at the demo, they like you, somebody recommends you, you interview, and if you're lucky, you get the job. So many guys want these positions, and if you're the last one standing, then you know it's fortunate. It's a great job. It's a great organization, and I work with great guys too. And Greg started with the Pirates in marketing, and he actually was the backup parrot. He probably killed me for saying that, but he was the backup parrot at one time. He also is the guy who doesn't get credit for playing the "We Are Family" song. He played that over the PA in '79. So that's something a lot of people don't know. But Greg doesn't really take credit for a lot of that. But yeah, it's just a matter. It takes a long time. It's a matter of patience, and you got to stick it out.
Television, radio, which do you like?
We're in a good situation because I get to do both. I had done both coming up before I got this job. I like them both. I think it adds variety to your day. It's a different day every day. You work with different partners each day, the way we rotate our guys with Steve Blass and John Wayner and Bob Walk. So it makes it that much more interesting and more fun. I like, and I get to ask this question a lot, which do you like better? I like them both the same. I really do. Some nights, you're in charge on radio. You create, you do the show, you produce it, you put it together. Television, you're kind of the tail that's being wagged by the dog. So it's a different deal altogether, but I like them both quite a bit.
Do you go back at all and listen to the, you're in a long lineage of the Rosie Rosewald and Bob Prince's. Does that mean much to you in your kind of genealogy of announcing?
It does, because, Rosie was there for so long, Bob Prince was there for so long, Lanny was there for so long. And there's some nights where I'll sit down before a game and prepare, and I'll say, just random thought will come in my head. I'm pretty lucky to be sitting in this seat that these guys occupied for so many years. And I'd like to be the next guy who occupies it for that many years. I really would. And it's just it's a treat. And, I know how lucky I am to have that position because there's only so many of those jobs. But to be able to follow those guys, really, it's really kind of neat, actually.
The first two names, Rosewell and Prince, designated more or less and known as terrific announcers, especially if you're a Pirates fan, because they were homers. There's no other way to put it. It's sort of morphed into a little more objectivity. How are you able to kind of draw that balance?
You do have to be a bit of a homer. You do, because you're with that team every day. You follow them every single day, and you do have to have be a bit of a homer. But broadcasting, I think, especially when it comes to baseball, because you have your hometown guys all the time. Football is all network guys, so it's different. It's very objective. But when it comes to baseball, I think it's morphed over the years. It's kind of changed a little bit where you've got to have information. You have to be able to, I guess, present it in a certain way, but still endear yourself to the local community. They don't want to hear you ripping on the team. They don't want to hear you sound like you're being more than fair to the other team or building up the other team so much. But you want to give information. You want to be accurate. You want to be fair to both sides. And if the Pirates do make a mistake, yeah, we point it out. Obviously, we do. If they do something very well, then it's a little bit more exciting when the other team does something very well. So yeah, there is homerism in sports broadcasting, and when you're a guy who sees a team for 162 games in the regular season and then another 30 in spring training, yeah, you want them to win every night. You become partly a fan. You have to be, but you also have to remember you're there to do a certain job. But when it comes right down to it, we are fans too.
Do you get critiqued? I mean, did you have somebody at the broadcast studios who sit down and sort of grade you guys?
Well, when I was in the minor leagues, I had a gentleman who was my mentor, who would work with me on certain things during games. You know, even telling me during commercial breaks, because he would sit with us in the booth. And out of Las Vegas, we had a number of guys move on to major league jobs. I think more than a lot of teams. So we're pretty, you know, it's a pretty good place to be if you're going to be broadcasting in AAA. But that gentleman's name was Bob Bloom, and he passed away last year. But he was instrumental in me getting an opportunity to begin with, and really helped me along. And he critiqued me often. At this level, we get critiqued every now and again by the people that we work for directly, but not as often as maybe people might think. You just sort of, you know what your job is. You got to go do it, and if you're doing it at a certain level, then you don't have to get critiqued all the time. But if there's some critiquing that needs to be done, it's definitely done.
Are you an employee of the Pirates or the broadcast?
The Pirates. Yeah, I work full time for the Pirates.
Growing up, was there heroes of you? Did you have?
Yeah, I grew up in New England, so I followed the Red Sox as a kid. Don't as much anymore, but still like it when they do well. And I think as far as broadcasting went, the old broadcaster for the Boston Celtics was my idol for a while, Johnny Most.
Johnny Most, sure.
When I was in the 8th grade, he spoke at my athletic banquet in junior high school. And my dad's job that day was to go pick him up and bring him to the banquet. And I was in the back seat of the car. And he said to me, "What do you want to do when you grow up?" I said, "I want to do what you do." And he said, "I've got some advice for you." So I'm thinking, I'm getting some advice from the great Johnny Most. And he said, "Every day put a marble in your mouth." So I'm thinking, that's got to be some kind of technique. And he said, "When you can't put any more in, take one out every day. When you've lost all your marbles, you're ready for this job." And I never forgot it. Never forgot him telling me that. And boy, was he right.
Are there moments, Pirates, as much as you've been with them, and but as the season's been dragging on, and certainly they've been on a kind of a glide slope the last couple of years, which they're kind of getting Christian. Is that tough to kind of? How do you get fired up for last few games of the year?
It's your job to do it.
Yeah.
And when you have a job to do, you do it.
Yeah.
It's not like it's slave labor or anything. I mean, we're at a professional sporting event. We're at a major league game. So it's not that bad, believe me. There are nights where you scratch your head and say, how did they lose this one? Why have they now lost 5 in a row? Why have they now lost 6 in a row? How did they lose that 16-game lead? There are nights where you really scratch your head. But when it's all over, when the season ended this year, just kind of take a big step back and relax and a little time to yourself, and you just say, okay, that's done. You've got to flush that and move on to the next thing. So you really have to pace yourself, I think, in a way, but also you can't let it get to you. If you let it get to you, because you have no control, you're an observer. You can't let the wins and losses get to you. You want them to win, and certainly when they lose, it's not the most pleasant thing, but at the same time, it gets back to what I said earlier, that we are fans too. But it's not as difficult as one might think to get up and get excited for game number 161 or 162.
Do you follow, like other fans, what's going on just at the general managers meeting, your winter meetings, and some of the trades, Russell Martin meetings?
Yeah. No. During the off season, there might be a time where I might have a little blackout period where just sort of decompress. But after that, I start picking up the news and talking to people, and we get information and so on and so forth. And you really have to start following it early.
Yeah.
So by the time you go to spring training, you're up on everything. And then during spring training, there's all kinds of news. And throughout the course of the season, it's daily. There's all kinds of news daily. So it can be information overload on certain days, and other days it's not. But we're heavily into following the information right now.
You're great. I really enjoy listening to you in the games, and you're just equally impressive in person.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Welcome to Jamestown.
This is good. First time here. Hometown of Lucille Ball.
Lucille Ball, absolutely right.